Welcome to Phoenix Laser Creations. So today we're going to do a tutorial on how to prepare a Inkscape file for use in the WeCreat software Make It. So here I've got a business card that I've designed. Now this of course is shameless plug. This is my own business card. So there are some things that we need to be dealing with. So this is actually a, a two-page design, so there's like a front and a back. So if I hide the front and reveal the back layer, then I've got something completely different there for the other side. That's not what we're going to bring in to make it. So let's just get rid of this for the moment. Oh, actually, I need this back open. So we're going to use layers here and open up the front. Okay. So what I need to do is these kind of darker areas, if I want them to show up, I have to turn them white. That's just the reality. At least that was my experience with this when I was trying to get my business cards printed correctly. There, I had to do a lot of burn samples. Actually, let me see if I can find that one. So the first time I tried to play with a metal business card, I used the settings that WeCreat suggested for a metal business card, and it didn't work out so well. So wound up with this. Obviously, I had to stop the job. So yeah, basically was turning this into a potato chip. So I had to do all kinds of burn tests. I started with the basic one where you're testing a whole bunch of um, a whole power range and speed settings and stuff, and then I refined it. And I did some testing where I changed just the speed but left the power the same, and then I did the opposite and played with some different settings for the line density and that kind of thing. So you can see I've got a lot of a, lot of tests that just getting it all fine-tuned into what actually works. I was trying to find something that was going to be fast. So then I started getting a little better success. These aren't the final versions, but you can see there I used both sides, so yeah, lots of testing. But this is what you got to do when you're going to do things the right way. So once I got all that testing done, then it was getting an actual decent render of the card. And what I discovered is that we cannot have these darker areas. They just don't. When you're using a diode laser for this, you don't really have much for being able to shade. I mean, it can do crosshatch stuff, but it's not going to turn out very well for these big letters here. So the first thing we need to do is turn them white. So I'm just going to turn on my paint bucket here, and then I'm going to go up to threshold, and I'm going to bump it up. I know it looks even, but it's not. So I'm going to bump it up to, well, let's try 15. And we'll set our color to white, and we're going to fill these. Now, just so you're aware, this is actually creating a new path on top. So you'll need to be aware of that. Now, the next thing that we have to do, if we want to change these as well, we could. I may leave those so that they do a little bit of a crosshatch. I can't remember if I did on the final version, but I'll be showing you the final version here shortly. Now, the other thing too is you need to make sure, now I've already done this, I think, but if you have any text left, so we're just going to open up the services group here, and this looks like it's all paths. Even where it says text 10, that's just the label. So what you have to do is you have to take each line of text that you have, and you go up here and to path, and you go object to path. So we need to be sending these as paths, not as text, especially if you're using fonts that aren't supported in the Make It software. So once you've got no text left on there and you've converted everything, then we can export just the front page here. So we're going to use page, but when I export, I'm going to export as plain SVG. If you export it as a Inkscape SVG, it causes problems in the Make It software. So this is very important. When you're going to export this, you have to use plain SVG. And you can see the last export I did was for the back. So we're going to change this to front and then hit export. Now this is not going in my usual location. I just noticed that, but it doesn't matter. And then you can do the same with the back. Now to be aware, in this is not all curved. So there is actually an image here. I did an original graphics design. Actually, if you look above my head here, you'll see my logo. That's the original color version of the logo. And then I used Grok to convert it to something that's more appropriate for this type of work, for engraving onto metal. So that's why there is an image that's part of this. And that actually caused me big headaches when I went to do the business card. So I'm just going to close Inkscape here without saving. So now I'm going to, I'm going to import my working file. Where is it here? Just so you can see what, and so I can see what I was actually working with here. Okay. Yeah, so you'll notice like I had to actually invert the image, the actual image that's part of it. But what I discovered is that you can't invert anything else. So if you invert paths, then it does the opposite of inverting an actual bitmap image. So that's something that's very important. So let me just select my laser here. So not going to connect because I'm connected on another tab. Yeah, it looks like it. Let me close the other tab here. Let's try this again. There we go. So you can't connect twice to the same laser. All right. Now there were definitely some challenges when I did this. So I'm just going to drag this out of the way here. Okay, so you'll notice I'm actually going to do this again. Oh, sorry, I gotta get rid of that. So if I drag this down to here, you'll notice that that stuff behind the text, it's actually a white box that is included in the graphic. But it's non-processed. I had to be able to do that so I could see it. so I could see the black text, because the black text will come out white on the card, of course. So you don't have to reverse it. When I reversed it, then it started making the entire card white and the lettering leaving it black. So yeah, it's kind of confusing because you have to invert the actual image. And we're just going to grab this image here. So I want to show you how some of the things you have to do when you're working with this. So if we go into image processing, so here we've got right now you can see it's inverted. So I'm going to turn off inverting. Okay. I'm not sure why it's still showing that. Oh, I know why it's showing the dark part, because that's the actual image part. And then we put those layers of painting over top of it. So we'll hit invert. And then you've got all these settings here that you can adjust. And believe me, I spent hours playing with this stuff, finding the best way. But, and you can also set your line density here. So we'll just go ahead and cancel that. It's interesting when you see um, the actual laser being done. It goes and prints all the um, not print. Well, I keep saying print. It lasers all of the paths for the text and everything first, and then it comes back and lays down the image or part of the image, except the parts that were obscured by the path over top, and then it comes back and uh, and renders those in the job. So it's interesting watching it actually do the job. I'll cut it in for you guys to take a quick look. Okay, so we're going to close this tab. I'm not going to save it. Okay, so I'm going to open a new project. And we're going to connect the laser. Okay, so you'll notice here that I've done the first side, yeah, using that jig that I made, which you may have watched the tutorial for it already, or you may not. If you haven't, you can go back and watch that. I'm actually going to be making another one so that I can do more. This one lets me do 15 at a time. Okay, so we're going to import. So I'm going to grab this one called the front inverted working copy, because that's the one where I changed the text on the card. So bring it up here. Cats got to be cats. I don't know if you heard him scratching there. Okay, so right now it looks a little funky. Um, there's stuff in here that isn't going to be visible until we invert the image. And now you'll see that even though in Inkscape we had white text on a black background, I had to go in and reverse all of that, put a white background behind it. and make sure that the image and stuff was on top of that white background. So first thing I had to do was go in and select the image and come up to image processing and invert the image. We're going to leave it on Jarvis. Now you can play with the grayscale and stuff a bit, but we don't need to. You'll notice we're going to have a little dithering here for that kind of mid-range color in the fire. This will be superseded by the layer of white fill that we made when we did the paint bucket thing in Inkscape. So we're just going to confirm that. And then all of this stuff here, we're just going to leave it as is. We're not going to mess with that. And this is what's going to actually get engraved, everything that's in black. And then we have to give it a turn here. So when we get near the 90 degrees, it'll kind of lock in place there. Now this is might be a little confusing because of the cards are already done down there, but we're just going to drag this up a little bit. And then I just drug this down into position. Now it looks too big for the card, but the actual part that's engraving is just the perfect size for the card. So we're just going to center it as best as we can. And then I'm going to zoom out. I'm just using my mouse wheel to do this, by the way. Line this up here in the middle. Zoom back in a bit. Okay, so we'll take this and now we're going to make an array. So I'm going to go up to array and array creation. And then I've got 5 columns. And we've got 3 rows. I think I did a spacing. No, I must have done more than that. Let's try 15. Oh, that's too much. Let's try 9. Oh, not quite enough. 9.5. Oh, 9.2. That isn't too bad. I think that will work for column spacing. Now let's try 5. No, let's try 8. Let's try 9. And that's just about right. Oh, what just happened there? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm kind of working at the limits of the memory of this potato laptop I'm using here. And then you can just run your engrave. So now you'll notice that it looks like it's kind of slightly out of kilter, um, like it's angled. Like the actual board itself is angled a tiny bit. Now you could straighten that, but we can also straighten it this way if it's enough that you want to make that change. So we can just yeah, so we can just turn it a little bit. Yeah, see, this is the problem that I ran into is that it doesn't, you can give it fine control until you get near the snapping point and I don't know how to turn that snapping off yet anyway, if it's possible. So I just kind of moved some of them around a little bit manually because once the array is made, then you're free to select whichever and move it yourself. So I just came in here and I just used my keyboard and nudged it over a bit to get it centered. So the next time I do this, I'm probably going to use a square to make sure I've got my wood perfectly aligned. So basically, just make your little fine adjustments like that, and then you can go ahead and run it. Now, what I used for settings here, let's pop open the layers. Oh, I guess I've got some differences there. So now here it went and reset a bunch of stuff on me, and it's done this to me before. I think what's happening is maybe there's a memory leak. So WeCreat, if you're listening, the programmers, um, sometimes when I've got too many objects, then some of them start resetting themselves to like zeros and whatnot. And it really messes with the job. I had to go back in and reselect and do my settings again a couple of times to get everything right. So make sure you double check absolutely every single path here. So you look at this path and you see the power sitting at 0. Now that is not how I saved it. So now what I determined for this after all this testing is that I can do a power of 19, and then this lets me go full speed. So I'm doing the full 600 millimeters a second that the Vision Pro can do. And then I'm using a line density of 150. That seemed to give me the best results. And look at that, it went and did it for a whole bunch of stuff here. So I'm going to actually try selecting everything in this layer. So if I click on that, no, it's not going to let me. Oh, because there's images. I think yeah, there's images embedded in there. So yeah, and unfortunately, there's no ability to, in this layer thing here, I can't go and select multiple items except just selecting the whole layer. But I can't go and like shift click or control click to select multiple items over here. It all has to be done here. So WeCreat programmers, if you're listening, please add the ability for us to do multi-select here on this drop down or this flyout menu. That would make our lives a lot easier. So basically, this can be tedious when you're doing a big run like this. So you're going to have to go through each individual item and redo your settings. Now, I did do a custom material. So if I go over to oh, sorry, I don't want material preview. I want material, select material. So I'm going to go to customization, and I did one here, aluminum, and it knows that my thickness is 0.2 millimeter. That could be why when I used the default settings from WeCreat that it potato chipped that card. Because probably when somebody did that, it was the thicker version of these cards, the stainless. Well, no, it did say aluminum. But the metal cards, the better quality ones are like 0.4 millimeters thick. These are only 0.2. They're just the cheap AliExpress ones. Actually, I think these ones came from Temu, but same difference. So once you've gone through and you've done all of your paths, now remember I told you there was those overlays. Um, so that's right here, so you can see the sideways paths there of those letters. So that's these letters right here. So you can see that it's showing the little test card that I submitted the picture of, and it's changed our settings. But something that I do not like, and WeCreat programmers, I'd love to see you fix this, it doesn't want to store a line density when I do a custom material. So I still have to go through and manually type in 150. So hopefully they will fix that on the next upgrade. I don't think they've put out an upgrade for over a year now, so I'm hoping there's going to be one coming with some of these fixes. And of course, we're doing fill engrave on everything. So now I might be able to actually go up here and select my material, and that would actually change it for everything, I think. Let's just double check. Let's just grab a few at random. Yeah, it looks like it did change them. So that is one way to change everything all at once. And I don't think we've got another layer on here, do we? Yeah, we do. So there's this layer here. And notice the line density is missing from there as well. That caused me no end of trouble before I figured out it was doing that on me. And when it resets to like a default, then it wipes out the line density, even though it's still showing the right other settings because of the connection to the material type. So this is definitely something that needs to be addressed by the programmers. And like I said, I'm pretty sure, guys, that you have a memory leak in here somewhere when you've got too many objects that are filling up the RAM. It's not handling it properly. So you've got and a memory leak will cause these object reset issues. So um, as you may be picking up on, I used to be a computer programmer many moons ago. I started learning computer programming in 1981. Did it for a long time. Okay. So basically, once you've done all that, the last thing we need to do is we need to grab this background. Let's actually do this here. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, so these are all the rectangles. So I could actually take this and I can go over here and go ignore for processing. So see how it kind of disappeared? It's still there, but it's like, with a low alpha on it or partly see-through. And this is the key. You have to not process that. I just had it there so that I could see the black text on the black blank cards. So that's a very important step. And when you don't do that, when you don't do that, then you get that where it starts taking out everything. So yeah, that's a pretty important step. All right, so I hope that that's giving you the information you need for doing this kind of stuff. I still have to do the backs of the business cards, but since I've already kind of shown you how this works, don't need to see that. So thanks for hanging out with me today, folks. So glad you joined us. If you feel we've earned it, please take a moment and like and subscribe. And we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now. Happy trails.